Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Francis Seeley from Enfield Voices, and this is another of our interviews where we talk to people who are trying to make a difference in our different localities that make up our borough. And today we've got Dana Roberts and Christine Elissa, who you will see in a minute, who are involved in a campaign to clean up our high streets, and we'll find out exactly what that means in a minute. But let me say, first of all, if you're watching on our webinar system, you can type in any comments or questions in the chat box on the right-hand side. Or if you're watching on Facebook on the stream, then you can type in your comments below the streamed video. So please do that, and we'll try and pick up as many comments as we can. Anyhow, Dana and Christine, thanks for joining us and for doing this. And I think what people might like to know, first of all, is who you are and what your background is and what's made you interested in this topic. Let's start with you, Dana.
Hi, Francis. I've lived in Palmer's Green for 18 years now. I have to say, for the vast majority of the time that I've lived here, I worked in town and I just got the train every day and came back, worked very long hours, would come back and sleep here. And I didn't really explore my local area. I only really perceived it through social media. And I thought that it seemed like a pretty drab place on social media. And I thought that when I stopped work, I'd go and investigate. And I have to say, in the last year, I've discovered it's a really wonderful place. And I've discovered so many fantastic people who live locally. I've really enjoyed myself.
Okay, and Christine, I know from your accent, people will discover that you have a slight American accent there. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm from the US. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and I moved here almost 10 years ago. This is my 10th year living here. I came in 2009. I was recruited by a local authority to work here. I'm a qualified social worker. And basically, I've always lived in Palmer's Green since I moved to the UK. It just happened that when the local authority that employed me did the relocation package, they happened to put us up in Palmer's Green. So we had about 2 weeks to find a place to live. So I actually went to Anthony Webb locally. And of course, I found a flat here, and I've lived here ever since. So I work for a different local authority now, but I think for me, the big connection has been my daughter's school. I have a 6-year-old, and her local primary school here in Palmer's Green has a great sense of community, and that's where I really got connected to the people who live here.
Okay, and Dana, obviously you decided that there was a problem that you wanted to address. What was that problem? What made you aware of it?
I think it was the mismatch between the social media image that I got and the reality. The reality is that I've met really lovely people who run their businesses and who are keen, committed, and provide great service. And yet the social media line for Palmer's Green was that it was drab, dull, vacant shops, going down the pan. Why would you ever bother going there? And when I was confronted with that mismatch, I just thought, well, that isn't right. And given that I live here and I want to have a high street that is thriving and as beautiful as it can be, I thought I'd better do something about it. There's no point in just moaning about it. I've got time and energy. I thought I'd better get on with it and go and meet some people and do something about it.
And Christine, what was this something that you wanted to do?
Well, I guess being connected, our original connection came through one of the moms at my daughter's school, and just seeing how people talking with like-minded people, meeting Dana and thinking about those exact things that Dana just said, just being able to see that we actually do have a really nice community. And I think a lot of communities are sort of suffering from the high street decline, online sales and that kind of thing. And I'm not an economist, I don't know exactly how that works, but we see what's happening right in front of us and shops closing. So just having a conversation with a few people who wanted to do something about it, I think that's what kind of got me excited.
But I'm still not sure, Dana, what it is, the something that you're trying to achieve.
what I would like to achieve is that those people who sit in their houses around Palmer's Green or within Palmer's Green who don't feel that the high street is for them, that they walk out and take a look and go and sit in the cafes and meet people who run the businesses, because I think they will find that there's lots of interesting things to do and see. People, for example, will find that the charity shops, although some people moan about them, are absolutely amazing. You can pick up some fantastic bargains, and the people who run them are pillars of the community, and they support our local environment. So by spending money that one might ordinarily spend online, or through an online supermarket, or perhaps at a shop near where you work, if you spend it in Palmer's Green, then you're encouraging the local economy and making the place a better, more cohesive whole. And it's more fun to do it locally.
But is it just about publicity and promotion, or is it about improvement as well? And apart from getting people to shop in Palmer's Green, what other improvements do you want to do, Dana?
Well, one of the things that we would like to do is engage traders themselves, because it's all very well getting footfall, but actually traders have felt a fairly low sense of morale. So what we've done is set up a WhatsApp group for the traders, and there are now over 50 businesses who are speaking with each other on that, which is fantastic to see. They are excited about that, and if anybody wants to join that, then they can get in touch with us through the Palmer's Green Action Team website, and we can add them to the WhatsApp group. So getting the traders themselves to work together is exciting. And what we would like to do then is to put on some events and promote events which are already happening. So, for example, there's an annual Easter egg hunt that will be coming up. We'd like that to be bigger and better than it's been in the past, and engage all the schools and local kids to come out and enjoy that. We're also going to have a Spring Clean Palmer's Green Day on the 11th of May, where the people in the community will come and help the shop holders themselves clean up the streets. So that will involve all kinds of things like scraping all the stickers off the shop fronts, which are graffitied everywhere, picking up the litter, painting some of the areas where they need a lick of paint. Just as the community is interested, the response to that has been great in the various places we've already started promoting it, and traders themselves are keen on it. So,
Christine, I mean, when people say clean up the high street, they think immediately of litter and so on. So is that sort of going to be a big focus of your campaign, because you've got the event coming up quite soon? And does that mean also looking at flower plants and planting more trees and trying to make the place a more desirable place for people to walk up and down?
That's exactly it. I mean, I think in terms of the volunteers, the cleaning litter, that becomes, one of the easier jobs. And if shop fronts have their own sort of DIY that they need to do, obviously they're going to be responsible for that, and volunteers can only do so much with that. But I believe, and Dana can speak to this a little bit more, because she's gotten, is it Enfield and Bloom who are involved, that will help with some of the planting and cleaning up some of the areas, like for instance, that large planter outside of the job center. That's going to be, we're going to have some assistance with that and some equipment and things.
Okay, well, Dana, maybe you can talk about that, because I was going to ask you, how did you get a group together? And clearly, if you've got Enfield in Bloom, you're actually looking for groups that can actually add value to what you're doing.
Yes, I mean, we've had loads of conversations with other groups that are out there, and there are lots of people who are ready to help. So Enfield in Bloom have very kindly said that they will donate some plants so we can get some areas planted up. We're also really keen that the traders themselves put up hanging baskets. So we are working hard to find a way to make that happen and get some of the baskets put back onto the lampposts where that's possible. So again, making Palmer's Green green would be great. the Enfield in Bloom collection, obviously we're going to need Sodexo's consent, because Sodexo maintain the planter outside the job centre, which is slap bang outside the station. So 6,000 people get off the train every day and look at this hideous, great air conditioning unit, which has got scrub grass and terrible plants in it. And we'd really like to make that attractive. So we're hoping that Sodexo will come up with that consent, because at the moment they're struggling to find the right person internally. So it takes quite a lot of effort to actually get the consents we like. Similarly, up at the Fox development, obviously we're really excited that we're going to hopefully have a gastro pub there. That's not going to happen very quickly, and at the moment there's lots of hoardings up. And one of the shops there is looking very sad. It used to be a little hairdresser's, and we're trying to get consent from the people who are going to, or who currently own that we could get a local artist to do a mural or a painting on the window. So again, it's about improving the place and making it more interesting.
Well, I mean, you're obviously getting a lot of businesses and so on in the group, and you've got 50 people on your WhatsApp group, and that's great. What about ordinary citizens, volunteers as well? I mean, do you have ordinary citizens who don't own a business who are interested, and how do they get involved? Dan?
Well, we have a group online, so on Instagram and Twitter and the Facebook page, which is Palmer's Green Action Team. So people can get in touch with us that way. So Palmer's Green Action Team @gmail.com is our email address. And yes, there are people I'm speaking at the Winchmore Hill Ward Forum next week. And also I spoke at the Palmer's Green Ward Forum a little while ago. So there are people out there who are keen to help, and we're very keen to have as many helpers as we possibly can. The Scouts also have said they're going to get involved. So we're excited to have youngsters in our community out as well. And we're going to push it out through all of the schools networks that we can find.
Okay, so Christine, did you get involved because you saw the Twitter group, the Facebook group, or were you involved from the start?
No, I was involved from the start. It all came about through the Christmas lights back in November. I guess it was earlier than that we kind of got together. I just happened to be in a local coffee shop with one of our local classroom moms, who's been sort of the brains behind this whole group, and they were talking about, I think everyone was feeling a bit down because the year before the council had cut the funding and we didn't really have any Christmas lights last year in Palmer's Green, as in 2017. And so she was telling me about this big project where they were getting the local businesses together, how they had an agreement with Enfield Council to match funds to basically raise a total of 10 grand for the Christmas tree in the triangle, as well as the lights along the streets. And then in addition to that, which this is the part that I got really excited about, having each of the local businesses who wanted to participate to put up their own lights and their own decorations, and to make a competition out of it where the children would then judge the windows. And that we pulled that together, you know, in a really short span of time. And it was just really exciting, because it was literally bringing together the children of the local community and the local businesses. And then the high street was decorated and just really, really nice to walk down over the Christmas period. And so that's how I got involved. And I think from there, we've just been excited to think about, oh, if we could do that in a short period of time, what else can we achieve? And just thinking about, okay, what do people actually want? Because we're definitely not out to reinvent the wheel. There are lots of great community groups that already exist, and we're sort of seeing ourselves as a way to network in between them and just getting them to work together and to communicate. And if there's areas where relationships haven't been the best recently, then maybe we can sort of help smooth things over and just make things better.
So if someone responds to your Facebook group, Twitter, or watches this interview and they want to be involved, what would they do? I mean, they would want to be involved and they want to be told they're going to do something. What would you tell them straight away, Dana, that they could do?
Well, we have a list of dreams, so they could take responsibility for one of those. There are lots of events that we've had ideas about. So, for example, Palmer's Green is great for vintage things. there's a vinyl shop and all the charity shops, and there's a really fantastic guitar shop around the corner. So there are lots of creatives, and we'd love to have a market or an event on the Lodge Drive car park. So people often say, oh, Palmer's Green's got no parking. Well, there is in fact a really big car park just behind McDonald's, which is free for 45 minutes and quite cheap for the rest of the time. And we'd like to maybe take that and set up a monthly market there. That obviously takes a lot of organisation and gathering together all the various creative people that are out there. But that's one of our dreams.
Have you been involved with people like Philip Chard, who started the market by the station? He has a lot of experience in developing markets. We
haven't spoken to Philip yet, but again, there's only so much we can do. We're a group of sort of 10 volunteers. Everybody does other things, so we can't do everything. So if somebody wanted to come along and help us with setting that up, that would be absolutely amazing.
Okay, so when actually is your spring clean event? Do you have a specific date for that, Christine?
Yeah, we're set for the 11th of May, so that's a Saturday. I think we had said roughly assemble around the triangle at around 10, and we'll have some marshals out and be divvying out jobs from there. Of course, in the run up to that, we'll make sure we're confirming with the local businesses about what exactly needs done in and around their shops, and getting all those details ready.
Okay, well, I think, close to that time, we might do a short video with you to promote that and put that on and see if we can, really push that, because that's a great idea. Now, obviously...
We've got support, Francis, from a charity called Clean Up UK. So they're backing us, and they're going to provide all of the materials that we need for the cleanup, gloves and vests and graffiti wipes and pickers and so on. And also the council, we've been in touch with them, and they're very kindly getting involved as well. So they're going to organise extra rubbish collections and hopefully jet wash the pavements and organise themselves so that it will all come together. Fingers crossed.
So, I mean, is the council involved in any other way? What's your relationship with them?
We're just kicking off with that. So our councillors have been very helpful in putting us in touch with senior officers, and we've got calls lined up shortly to talk to them. I think it's one of those things that involves probably a different number of parts of the council. So it's, the leader, it's regeneration, it's waste services, it's highways. So it's one of those things that doesn't fit neatly into any particular box. So again, it takes a little bit of discussion, but we'll get there.
Well, I hope you will get there, because starting a local project like that makes council think about how they can work together in joined up services, and that's always a problem for every local authority.
Turn my phone off.
Yeah, okay, don't worry. Okay, Christine, so that you're doing a clean-up thing, you're trying to get the place look better. How would volunteers get hold of you if they wanted to make contact with you straight away? Where would they go to actually express their interest?
Oh, right. So they could contact us on our Facebook page, on our email, Twitter or Instagram, and we'll be in touch, and they could come along. We could give them details about coming along to our next meeting, or speaking to any of us sort of separately if they have a particular project that you're thinking of, a particular skill set that you could offer. Any of those types of things would be most welcome. So again, because we're in the early stages, we're very keen to hear from people about what do they want. If they think about Palmer's Green, they think about their high street, what ideas do you specifically have to make it better? Because we're not doing everything ourselves, but we're very excited to hear what people have to say and what they think could improve our area.
Okay, well, this obviously is being streamed and it's up on site now as we talk. So it might be a good idea, Dana and Christine, if you put a comment on it with a link to your Facebook group and any of the other groups or Twitter accounts and so on, so people will know, exactly where to go to. So Dana, you're not interested in just volunteers. From what Christine says, you're also interested in people's ideas as well, are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're a group of people who got together because we didn't want to moan, and because we wanted to do something, or want to do something positive. So if there's anyone else out there like that, then come and join us. We quite often meet in My Time Cafe in the middle of Palmer's Green. Brian Lewis there is very keen on promoting community groups, and we make great connections there. So if, for example, food is a big thing in Palmer's Green. We have over 11 types of cuisine available in Palmer's Green, and we love to do a food festival, either by issuing tickets so people can go out and have a starter, a main course and pudding in different restaurants, or maybe getting everybody to do a mini food truck. So things like that, ideas that are out there, it's great, but we need help in generating those ideas and in organising them.
Okay, well, we talked about having a meeting in Brian Lewis's cafe at some point, didn't we, about to encourage and promote promote what you're doing. And that, we'll talk to Brian and do that and try and involve as many people on our networks as we possibly can, because that would be great. I mean, also when you're talking about cleaning up the high street, I mean, there's another problem that's facing us, and it's quite a serious problem, and that's about young people, youth violence and gangs. And I noticed that some people, we saw a cafe in Southgate, are offering their cafe as a safe place. So if anyone feels threatened, they can immediately go into the cafe. Dana, is that something you would encourage in the Palmer's Green area as well?
Absolutely, and I'm really pleased to say that Baskervilles, which is on Alderman's Hill, has already done that, signed up to the safe space arrangements. So, I know that Baskervilles is accredited with that, but it's also worth saying that I'm quite sure that if any child, anybody felt insecure or concerned about their safety, they could go into any cafe in Palmer's Green and they would be looked after. But yes, absolutely, it's something which I think people feeling safe in our space is fundamental to people coming out and enjoying the high street and going for a coffee. There are so many great places to go, but you're not going to go if you don't feel comfortable. We are lucky that we do have a really good community policing team who are really responsive, and you do see them out and about. And I have to say the Palmer's Green WhatsApp group is working really well. So, for example, recently there have been people trying to pass off fake notes, and within moments of that happening in one shop, it's passed around everybody. So when people come into the next shop, they're already scuppered. So some self-policing is also possible for some of the areas which are, not, well, obviously once it gets to violence, it's a different kettle of fish, but that low-level criminality is not going to last long with the traders all working together.
I mean, do you link Christine or Dana, start with Christine, with any of the neighbourhood watch groups as well around making the place safer?
I don't know that we've made that connection just yet. I know Dana, again, would know more about that, but that's definitely something that we'd want to do. I think we have already were aiming to get the community police team as part of the WhatsApp group, so they're in the loop about what's happening. But that's definitely something that we want to think about, again, in our myriad list of projects.
And is there some? I mean, do you want to say something on that, Dana? Because you probably have views about linking in with all the other community groups, not just the businesses, but the community groups that exist locally as well.
Yeah. So I mean, we've between us met loads of people who are working on various groups locally and are connecting with them. So, for example, the Palmer's Green Festival, which is happening this year on the 1st of September. That's a fantastic annual event which generates a lot of footfall. I think they had 7,000 visitors last year. So we're really keen that all of the people who come to enjoy that festival also understand that just around the corner in the high street there's lots of really lovely restaurants and cafes they can go and enjoy. So that's great, hooking up with the festival organisers. Similarly, Talkies, I think they're planning some events in the park. and there's blues in the park. So all of those events are really successful and well organised, and we're keen to meet people who are running those, to link in so we can have a talkies special for the restaurants, for example.
So if there are volunteers out there who want to help, I mean, looking at doing an audit of all the people you've got already, are there any skills that you would like to get that you don't have at the moment? Are there anything that you require that you're looking for volunteers for and that they could help?
I think we definitely, in our recent conversations, have been thinking about wanting to engage our local artists and artisans of all types, whether that's around a marketing campaign or whether that's around just doing an art installation within the community, especially when we're thinking about some of the shops that are empty. In the cases where we can get permission from the landlord to do something temporary until the shop is let again. We're definitely interested in artists to come up with ideas and things that we can do, whether it's alongside events that already exist or a new project, any of those things. So artists for sure. We can never have too many of those.
Yeah.
I mean, if with so many that we could do some event around the arts, that would be fantastic. I'm trying to think of what other volunteers anything with marketing, any particular skill set. If someone has it, we're so welcoming anyone.
Okay.
The other key thing that we need is we don't have a website at the moment, and we're really interested in hooking up with an organisation called Totally Locally. And Totally Locally is, people may have seen it in other places in the country, focuses on encouraging people to shop locally. And because we're a volunteer group, we can access all of their materials for nothing. They normally charge businesses quite a lot of money. Unfortunately, though, that needs knowledge about various software packages, and none of us are knowledgeable about that. So if there was anybody out there who would be willing to help us set that up for Palmer's Green, that would be just amazing.
Okay, so that's a request. If there is anyone out there who is interested in helping in any of those areas, please contact Dana or Christine. I mean, this is obviously a really energetic project you're developing. I mean, do you look at this as specific to Palmer's Green, or would you like to see this spread in other localities right across the borough, Dana?
I think we're focusing on Palmer's Green. It's where we live. It's what we have a passion for. It's where our networks are. If other people wanted to do it for their areas, then we're really happy to talk about, how we got together and the challenges we faced so far. But we're a really new group. We've only been going kind of 3-4 months, and we've got lots of ideas and energy and excitement about Palmer's Green, but that's probably as far as we can extend so far.
So you don't want to take over the world yet?
Not yet.
That will come. Okay, so I mean, you see what you do and what you're doing is really a part of the movement to regenerate the way in which we live and the way in which we work in our high streets and have leisure time in our high streets. Is that right, Christine?
Yeah, I mean, I think I had mentioned before, we all know what's the issue of high street decline is not unique to Palmer's Green. Obviously, you hear the most moaning about where you live, but that's not new to our area. And I think that's where, even though we're a new group, if there are other groups from other communities that have been doing this for longer or have other ideas, of course, we're always welcoming ideas and just picking people's brains about what we can do in our area. Yeah.
Okay, well, we've sort of come to the end of the interview time now, although there's a phone going, which probably is telling us that. Can you maybe, Dana, just let people know finally again how they can get in touch with you if they want to help in any way? And then, we'll end the webinar. But if you could do that, I think that would be really useful.
Yes, that's great. So we are the Palmer's Green Action Team. You can find us on Facebook and send us a message through that, or you can email us directly on palmersgreenactionteam@gmail.com.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, thank you both of you, Dana and Christine, for doing this. I think a lot of people will find it interesting and inspiring, and interesting how a group of people can get together and make a difference. And I think it will be a model for other people who want to do other things as well. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll do more, and we'll try and develop maybe a real-time meeting in Palmer's Green as well to take this forward, and involve other people as well. So thank you. I think it's been a really interesting half an hour. Anyhow, we'll finish this webinar now, and thank you everyone who has joined us and listened and heard what both Dana and Christine had to say. Thank you, and we'll end now.